Hey guys, it's Brad. Welcome to a beautiful fall day here in Tuscany in my front yard. And today we're going to be talking about healthcare in Italy, private versus public healthcare. As you may know, if you watch my channel recently, Olivia and I had a health scare. And before we get into any of this, Olivia has something she wants to say to you guys. So here's Olivia.
Hi guys, I just want to take a little moment to say thank you so much for all your well wishes, your kind of words. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I'm doing much better today, and that's why my husband took me to Lake Bolsena just to get out of the house and bring my family here. But I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for everything. Ciao, guys.
And I would like to add my thank you too. It's not just the person going through a health problem, it's also the person that's having to help deal with it. So all the kind messages and dozens of emails really helped me get through a couple dark days when we were trying to get all this stuff figured out, because it was very scary. So let's talk about the health system here in Italy. Italy's healthcare system is divided up into two parts. And most people, Italian citizens, expats, pretty much everybody uses both parts of the system. There is the public system, which is funded by tax dollars. That is called the Servizio Sanitario Nazionale. That's the National Health Service. When you move as an expat or immigrant into Italy, you will be paying into that system by paying taxes. I pay a lot of taxes here in Italy as an expat. This is my third year paying taxes here. And I feel very good about the money that I pay into the system here because it helps fund this wonderful healthcare system that they have. Is it perfect? No. The other part of the healthcare system here is the private system. Now, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of the doctors that work in the private also are public healthcare doctors. They might have office hours in the afternoon. They might do things on the weekend. And people tend to use both of it. I wanted to walk you through exactly what happened with Olivia and use that as kind of a teaching moment about what really happened and how we use both systems. I will try very hard not to go down any ADHD rabbit holes, as I often like to do in my videos. But I also don't like to have a whole script written out, so it just sounds like I'm reading you guys something, because this was very personal, and you guys are personal to us. And we made a decision 3 years ago to really share our life with you, what it's really like coming to Italy, not the cappuccinos, not the rainbows, but the nuts and bolts of living here. So I will tell you exactly what happened. About 2 weeks ago, Olivia and I went to our gym. It's a local gym. It's about 500 euros per year per person, and it's nice. I'll put a little video here of it. I shot just a couple days ago, and we were at the gym. I was working out on one machine doing weights. Oli was in front of me with a trainer, and all of a sudden she went down and was holding her head and was in a lot of pain. So we called an ambulance. Ambulances here are free. It's part of the national healthcare system, and they are most excellent. They came within about 10 minutes to the gym, both an EMT car and an actual ambulance that she was eventually transported in. Once they had her all on an IV drip and were getting her vitals and stuff, they got her into the ambulance. Then we went to the local regional hospital. It's just down this hill, right behind me, just over here. And it was only about a 7 or 8 minute ride for her. That is part of the SSN, the Servizio Sanitario Nazionale. And they took her in. The doctor was super nice in the morning, and they did a CAT scan, and they said that she had a brain bleed and a blood clot, and that's what was causing the pain. That ended up not being a precise diagnostic of what was going on. However, with that, they immediately called for an ambulance to take her up to Siena, which is about a 45-50 minute drive. The Siena hospital is gigantic. It is, I think, 7 different buildings. You can look it up on Google Maps, and they are all very big. It takes forever to walk through the place. They have colors on the floor just so you can find your way. And they have a neurological center there that's tops. And so they wanted her up there. They took her to the ER up there, and they did another CAT scan, and that CAT scan did not show any brain bleeding or a blood clot. So eventually, she was bundled up again after they got her pain to get down to a manageable level. They bundled her up again and sent her back in yet another ambulance back to Montepulciano, where we live, and eventually she was released. All of those things happened within the national healthcare system. Now, I say that she was released. Care here is a little different. They were worried about her emergency care. Why is she having this horrific headache? Make sure that there's no aneurysm, make sure there's no brain bleeding. Once that was done and everything in the brain looked okay, they were like, okay, here she is, we're not gonna hold her, and you need some specialists, go see your GP, your regular doctor, and see what you can find. So within 2 days, we had Olivia, through some friendly connections, into a private neurologist. Now, she also works at the large SSN hospital in Siena in that very neurological center, but she has an office here in Montepulciano. Here in Montepulciano, we have a office that has about 30 different doctors in it, and everyone has different office hours. They basically will set up a meeting with a specialist, and they have everything. I'll put a list here. They have everything in there that you would possibly need, for the most part. And you will set up an appointment and get in to see one of these doctors. So we set up an appointment with the neurologist, and we're lucky enough to have it within 48 hours. She came in, saw the neurologist. She gave her a full workup as far as motor skills and that type of stuff. She already had the CAT scan results. And she said, basically, this is not a neurological problem. This is a cardio problem. Her blood pressure is exceedingly high. And that was what was causing all this. Olivia's blood pressure, when the ambulance came, was about 170 over 110. Added to that was the fact that she was doing weight training for about 1 minute with her trainer, and we didn't know her blood pressure was anywhere near that high. So, through some friends again, we got in contact with another cardiologist, again in the private sector, and made an appointment for the next day. Now, I should mention here, the appointment with the neurologist was 120 euros. That's about 145 US dollars. That is, it's just mind-boggling. If you're an American, which 55% of you are, if you're an American, getting in to see a neurologist and being able to stay with them in an office for an hour, not feeling rushed, for 145 US dollars is pretty amazing. So the next day we had the cardiologist. We went in, he did a full workup, he did an EKG, he did echocardiogram, he did her veins in her neck. Everything was fine. When he found out that she had sleep apnea, he was like, this is more than likely what is causing this, because otherwise she's exceedingly healthy. We knew that Olivia had sleep apnea, and it's one of those things where we got the report, the guy said, this is serious, you need to get the machine. Oldie's doesn't want to wear the mask. Well, I'll try to, whatever, lose some weight or sleep different or whatever I'm going to do to make it better. And here we are 6 months later, and it's caused this really serious problem. The cardiologist was also 120 euros to go see, including all those tests. The sleep study that we had done 6 months ago, I believe, was also about 150 euros. We are now at the stage where we've gotten a CPAP delivered for her. That's the breathing mask that you use to treat sleep apnea. And she's working on it. And she has some new blood pressure meds, and her blood pressure is down. And I am happy to report she has not had a headache, which she was getting a lot of, but we didn't make the connection. She has not had a headache in over 7 days. And for that, we're very thankful for all these people. So this is how you use these two different systems here. If you're on a visa, an ERV, the elective residency visa, which I think is what most people are getting, especially the ones watching my channel, because 92% of my viewers are over the age of 45, 72% are over the age of 55. So most people are getting the ERV. When you get the ERV, you will be making a contribution every single year into the SSN, the National Healthcare System. It is based on your income, but I can tell you that you will probably be maxed out and pay the maximum, which in 2025 was $2,788. Because if you make much less than the maximum amount, which is 50,000 euros, anything over 50,000, you pay the maximum. If you're making less than that, you may not have qualified for your ERV to be here anyway. So you need to show that income, but it does max out. And I just recommend, at least from what I understand from the people here, put all your income, if you're a couple, under one person and the other person is a non-working spouse, if you can do that, and then you'll just pay the one fee. It covers both of you. I should also mention here that the cost of the national healthcare system is not completely free. It's not free universal healthcare. There are small charges that you will pay for things like a blood draw. We go in every 6 months. Our GP, our general practitioner here in town, has us do blood work every 6 months to make sure we're not drinking too much fine red wine and disturbing our liver function. And that cost around 25 euros to have done, a complete panel. And there's other small charges that you might pay, but in general, everything's no charge. We will not get a bill for the 3 ambulance rides and the 2 ER visits, the CAT scans that Olivia did. I failed to mention that after we had the 2 CAT scans done, after we went to see the neurologist, she had ordered up an MRI with contrast and without contrast. For that, we went to a private clinic. Why? If we had gone to our local hospital with her request for an MRI, they would have scheduled us in, but it might have been in a week or 3 weeks. It might have been here. It might have been in Siena. They might have said, hey, we can get you in a week from Thursday if you want to drive to Florence, blah, blah, blah. We went to a you know what I'm saying. We went to an imaging center, sorry. I'm doing this in one take. We went to an imaging center about 40 minutes from here, just over on Lake Trasimeno, and it is very nice, super new, hardly anyone in there, walked in and out for the MRI with and without contrast and the doctor visit because they have an actual MD doing the intake in the place. And we were in and out within an hour. It was 240 euros, and we had it done the very next day. So that's why people here will use the private to move things along. If you have the means, and it's not a lot of means, it's not a whole lot of money, it is, I think, it behooves you to go into the private system. Use the public system for emergencies and big ticket problems and your routine stuff, blood test, maybe a colonoscopy or something. Go see a specialist when things get dicey, or if it's something elective. That's when you're going to want, or when time is of the essence like it was for us, that's when you want to get into the private. Because even with the cardiology visit, the neurologist visit, the consults, the MRI, we spent less than 500 euros out of pocket, and we had all our answers basically within 3 days. To end up this video, I just want to touch on 2 points. One is location. If you're thinking of moving to Italy, I cannot stress enough, especially again knowing my demographics, how important it is for you to be near very good health care. Olivia is not even 50 years old yet until 2 days from now, which is her 50th birthday. But she's not even at 50 yet, and she had this emergency, and it wasn't her first one. She also had a kidney stone last year. It is super important to be near good medical care. If you're thinking about moving to some remote village that's 45 minutes, have a quick chat with Olivia, and she can tell you about the ambulance ride with a thunderclap headache bouncing around the back of an ambulance trying to get over to Siena. It's not a lot of fun. You want to be near. Yes, they do have air ambulance service here, but they're not taking everybody. They're picking up people at a car crash or very critical care stuff if they can and moving them around. But don't think if you're living out in some small village that a helicopter is going to whisk you to a big hospital right away. There is a very big difference between the quality of care between southern Italy and central and northern Italy. I don't make this stuff up. I have no reason to tell you something that's not true. To the best of my knowledge, it is a very well-known fact that the hospitals in the south of the country are not as well staffed and they're not as well upkept. And there are some very, very excellent doctors, very caring nurses, very good facilities. But frankly, it's just not the same as being in the central to the north. So a lot of people in southern Italy do travel up to the north, or maybe even to another EU country to get work done, because you're allowed to do that as well. So please, just be very careful about where you pick. Your life, your comfort, your health, all those things are probably going to depend on it sooner than you might think. So to wind this up, guys, I want to say again, thank you to all of you who wrote us or wrote emails and wrote in comments wishing Oli well, being supportive to me. And even if you didn't write and just thought it, thank you so much for caring about us. We talked a lot, Olivia and I, before we made this particular video about what we wanted to divulge, and we decided that we would be as open as we can, maybe more open than most people would be, because frankly, that's what we've been doing for 3 years, letting you get into the personal nitty-gritty of what it's like for us and what we're going through. And I think this is the most important aspect of what you should be thinking about when you're deciding where and what you're going to do here in Italy, okay? So I want to say again, thank you to the ambulance services of southern Tuscany, of the province of Siena. They were all super excellent, and the doctors and nurses that gave Olivia good care, and the facilities, our new neurologist, cardiologist, even the local pharmacy where you go to get your CPAP machine. Pharmacies here are kind of a big deal. They do a lot more than handing you prescription. So we wanted to say thank you to the pharmacy people. They fumbled a little bit, but they got Oli her machine and got her on it in less than a week, which is the speed of light. So we want to say thank you to all those people. We're very grateful, okay? We'll be back with some regular, normal videos, I'm hoping, in the next couple weeks. And I appreciate you guys watching this one, and stay healthy because you don't like the alternative. Take it from Brad, all right? Y'all have a great day. Ciao.